Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad of Algeria.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellency, Julius Maada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. I'm honored to convey to you all and to the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency Mr. Julius Maada Bio, specifically the greetings of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. He wishes you success in your deliberations today. He is fully confident that this open debate convened by the Republic of Sierra Leone, coordinator of the C10 on Security Council reform, would contribute to informing Council members on the pillars and objectives of the common African position. I would also like to thank the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, and the President of the 78th session of the General Assembly, Mr. Dennis Francis, for their valuable briefings that have set the scene and reviewed the latest developments in the Security Council reform process and the challenges in this regard. We have listened carefully to the representative of civil society, Ms. Sitembile Mbete. I would also like to welcome the high-level participation of His Excellency Mr. Pia Mushelenga, Minister of Internal Relations and Cooperation from Namibia, and His Excellency General J.J. Odongo Abubakar, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Uganda. Mr. President, our meeting today is held in an international and regional context that is fraught with challenges and risks that undermine international peace and security, a context that is characterized by renewed politicization and polarization, rather, between major powers, by the erosion of international law, by relapse into a selective approach in determining UN priorities, by the application of double standards, by an increasing choice to use force as a way to settle disputes. We are witnessing a severe crisis in the collective security architecture. The Security Council is almost completely paralyzed. It has repeatedly failed to put an end or even to curb fait accompli policies and unilateral measures. The Security Council has been giving precedence to the interests of the powerful over the interests of the weak. It has been providing protection and political cover to the acts of the shamefully unjust at the expense of the legitimate rights of those who have been wronged. In this crisis, the international community is standing idly by as crisis after crisis unfold and deteriorate in an unprecedented manner. This makes it difficult to deal effectively with these crises and threatens the possibility of reaching solutions that contribute to achieving international peace and security. The African continent has been suffering from this painful reality, especially in the Sahel region. Security, development, and humanitarian challenges have taken worrying dimensions. There are increasing external interventions. There are conflicts of interest. Terrorism has been on the rise. Organized crime has been on the rise. There have been increasing hotspots, and there have been worrying unconstitutional changes in these countries. This is reminiscent of a period of time that we thought has long gone. These developments prompt us all to continue working together to allow African countries that are going through turmoil to go back to the political track and to give precedence to dialogue and consensual solutions that do not exclude anybody to achieve peace and security and stability that these countries aspire to. In the same context, we have to remind you of the continued suffering of the Sahrawi people in Western Sahara, occupied for more than 50 years. These people have been waiting patiently for recognition by the international community of its right, inalienable right to self-determination and ending the exploitation of its natural resources in an illegal way. It has been waiting for stopping the practices of occupation that violate its legitimate rights. This people have been looking for the implementation of Security Council resolutions and taking tangible action to push forward the settlement process as part of decolonization efforts by the UN according to the parameters agreed upon by the Security Council. Of course, we have to recall the suffering of the brotherly Palestinian people that is deteriorating day after day amid the genocidal war launched by the occupation forces on the Palestinian people for more than 10 months as a result of the inability of the Security Council to compel the Israeli occupier to stop its violation and its crimes, its violations of international law. The expansionist Israeli occupation is completely disregarding international law. Mr. President, these developments that present a new reality must be dealt with in a spirit of responsibility, must be dealt with decisively based on the principles and values that we are guided by. All these developments has brought to the fore the issue of Security Council reform. The international community must pay due attention to this issue. We are more and more convinced that the Council today needs an African voice, a voice of reason, a voice on commitment, a voice of responsibility. Against this background, the African position in the negotiations on Security Council reform is based on the principles of the Leone Consensus and the CERT Declaration. This is the main and only frame of reference. This frame of reference has been strengthened also by the arguments contained in the outcome communique of the 15th summit of the C10 held in Oyala in Equatorial Guinea in November 2023, in addition to the outcome of the 11th meeting of the C10 foreign ministers hosted by Algeria last June. The arguments can be summarized as follows. We call, first of all, for redressing the historical injustice inflicted on the African continent. It is the only group that is not represented in the permanent membership category and is underrepresented in the non-permanent membership category. This is why Africa calls for its right to be allocated 2 permanent seats and additional 2 non-permanent seats, with all the privileges associated with these seats. Second, we call for the reform process to ensure the effectiveness of the Council and its ability to act in the face of increasing challenges to international peace and security. We need to develop a vision that allows the Security Council to dissociate itself from polarization and to focus more on its role and responsibilities according to the Charter of the UN. Third, we call for a resolution that is not only confined to ensuring more representation for developing countries, especially Africa. The reform must include issues related to the working methods of the Council, the use of the veto right, and the interaction between the Council and other UN entities. Expanding the membership alone does not ensure the necessary effectiveness if the working methods are not improved. Representation without effectiveness is insufficient, and effectiveness without representation does not achieve the required and desired goals. Fourth, permanent members in the Council must demonstrate explicit commitment and support to the reform process by responding to the aspirations of the African continent, the legitimate aspirations. Permanent members must participate in a constructive way in the IGN and work seriously to reach a consensus on Security Council reform. The General Assembly and the IGN must remain the only platform to discuss Security Council reform. Any attempts to change this and allow for parallel plans must be rejected. Mr. President, these are the ideas that I wanted to convey to you on behalf of my country. Algeria is firmly committed to the Common African Position under the leadership of the C10 coordinator, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio. Against this background, as a non-permanent member of the Council, Algeria is going to remain a faithful voice in the service of Africa and its aspirations. We are committed to pushing for addressing the historical injustice inflicted upon Africa when it comes to inequitable regional representation on the Security Council. In the same spirit and with the same commitment, we will do our utmost to maintain the credibility of the Security Council and ensure its ability to respond promptly to increasing challenges to international peace and security. I thank you for your attention.